I hope you can all see and hear us after our fun adventures in technology, which
Mm,
also are continuing to be fun adventures in technology.
yeah.
Because right now,
The whole reason we go ahead.
well, right now Samantha can't see me, but we can all see her, and you can all see me, so I think it's okay.
Okay. Oh, as long as they can see you on the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. No worries. Excellent. Yeah, we've got a ton of people in the chat. So hi everyone.
Woohoo.
Happy Friday afternoon
Happy
slash
Friday.
Saturday morning slash yes, we are nearing the end of Deep Space Nine. All right. We got a lot to talk about. It's
It's
this is reaching
it's a
the end.
lot.
It's reaching the end. Um, awesome. Hi Laura, welcome back from the pub. Um, Andy Super DTG, I'm sorry you have shingles. That sounds awful.
Ouch.
Yeah. Uh, sorry, Samantha's not watching the chat, so she's getting all this caught up right now. um, Mikhail's here. Cairo, people are sacrificing their early mornings and middle of the nights for this, so thank
Oh,
you. You're all the best. Um, all right, shall we?
let's dive in.
And we're just gonna keep that energy from imploding. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay, so this week we're going to talk about the I think 5 episodes
Mm-hmm.
before the finale of Deep Space Nine. So we are going to be discussing the Emperor's New Cloak, Field of Fire, Chimera, Badda-Bing, Badda-Bang, and Enter Arma Enim's Silent Ledges. And these are a fun, very random set of episodes.
Yes, we've had a couple of these sets that are just random one-offs, and I kind of love it.
Yeah.
It's chaotic, but it's great.
Good. I'm glad you're embracing the chaos of this because I feel
Hmm.
like certainly in like seasons 5 and 6, I felt like they very much did, kind of the blocks we were following. Like we would do 6 episodes and they were all kind of focusing on one or two characters and all kind of the same sort of theme. And this is just like, and then this episode, and then this episode.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So
Starting off with the swan song for the mirror universe,
yeah,
maybe.
pretty much. Uh,
Hopefully.
so this is the Emperor's New Cloak, is where Quark and Rom basically end up in the mirror universe to rescue the Grand Nagus Zek, who is there to try to negotiate some deals in the mirror universe, which is hilarious. And I mean, it's just Ferengi shenanigans, and I don't know what you because you've kind of been a fan of the mirror episodes, right?
Well, I thought I was going to be more of a fan,
Okay, fair enough.
honestly. Yeah. Like it sounded like a cooler concept on paper, I think,
Mm,
than than executed, at least in DS9.
okay,
Um, so I was a little, I guess, disappointed. Like I just didn't enjoy them as much as I wanted to. This one, however, so funny.
so
Like,
good.
I mean, Ferengi shenanigans just make everything better.
It's
It's, so this was definitely this is probably my favorite Mirror Universe episode of them all.
oh
Mostly
awesome.
like from Rom, who is like me trying to figure out everything about DS9, who's like, wait, so but our Esri is good, which means this one's bad, but our Cisco would never do that. Like, so funny.
So great. It's so great. Yeah, just throwing the Ferengi in the mirror universe, I think just adds a level of chaos that we were very much missing. And it's
Exactly.
delightful. It's delightful. I think one of my favorite moments of this is when Garrick is trying to torture them and they basically like start getting really awful to him about it. They're like, well, our Garrick would be better than this. And like, I don't really think that your heart's fully in it. And like, are you really as good of a torturer as you said that you were? And he just like, it's like, fine, whatever. And it's
Totally.
just so classic. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Oh, so funny. They were the best part. The way that they bounced off everybody else, I think just made it uh just so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So many great lines.
So many great lines, and I love the concept that like the Grand Nagus saw the mirror universe as a business opportunity.
Exactly. It's just like it's like a Ferengi like genetic trait. Like they can't not
Yeah.
see profitability in places they've never been before.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny. Um, oh, fair enough. So Christoph said this is my favorite, second favorite Mirror Universe episode, behind one in Star Trek Enterprise, which you haven't seen. Um, Cairo pointed out that this one has one major continuity error, that we saw that the mirror Klingons have cloaks in Deep Space Nine, which is kind of interesting to think about, the cloaking technology, right? Because they were trying to figure out how to get this technology from this. Hi, Tumor Boy. Yeah, I think, the only, and I would actually probably refer people to this Women at Warp episode where they talk about the queer coding in the mirror universe. It's kind of the only thing that, and I didn't pick up on it as much until I listened to this episode of Women at Warp where they talked about it. But the idea that like we're all evil and the dark side, and also we're all gay, and
Interesting. Yeah.
the way that that's handled, I think, is it just kind of sends the wrong message. I don't think it's intentionally bad. I think it's just a more like, we're gonna do things with our characters that we couldn't do in the Prime universe, but then the way it ends up being portrayed is it's just like sends a little bit of the wrong message. But I don't know. I was curious to see your thoughts on that.
Well, the only relationship that from this episode that I remember is Ezri and Kira, and by relationship I just mean they clearly kissed, so who knows what else was going on. And it seemed very out of place and very strange because they don't ever really come back to it in any substantive way. And it really sort of threw me off guard in terms of, at first blush, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Cool. But then they don't come back to it. So it seemed like just an excuse to do something shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that sends the message that the mirror universe people who are supposed to be all the evil versions are also gay, and that associating them together, or queer.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so it's just kind of like, just doesn't age as well.
Yeah.
But and D.A. Snyder fan also that pointed out they also sort of hinted that Ezri was attracted to Lita. I do remember that. Like when Rom is like, my wife. She's like,
but not my wife.
Yeah. And then, okay, thank you, Astro, for reminding us of Mir Brunt. SCA, because he's so freaking funny in this episode.
Exact opposite. And yeah, I think you have in your notes here like Brunt but nice.
Yeah.
I think, doesn't Rom say that exact thing?
Yeah, exactly. It's Brunt but nice, so we can do that. He'll help us. It's Brunt but nice. Yeah, I love that. I just think they handle that adorably and hilariously.
Yes. Oh, and wait, isn't this the one where before they get to the mirror universe, there's Rom and Quark are carrying the invisible cloak device?
Yeah.
I mean, that's straight out of like Monty Python or something. It was just brilliant.
Yep. The pantomime that's going on there is so funny. They're
like, where is it? I don't know.
It's like, sure, they can make it invisible, but they can't make it any lighter. And then they run into Martok.
Yeah.
So they keep trying to play it all cool. Martok is having none of this nonsense. None of it. It's so good. Yeah,
they're love like, it. Rom thinks he wants to paint his quarters this color.
Yeah, that's right. He's just staring at the wall. Yeah, that's
so good.
Genuinely, like, I've never been a huge fan of the Mirror Universe episodes, but I think this one is probably just the most fully watchable because it's so funny. Let's just put the Ferengi in the Mirror Universe, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, that could literally be the one sentence treatment
Yeah.
for to this episode. The Ferengi in the Mirror Universe is like,
Okay.
I get it.
I got it. Yeah. All right.
I'm on board.
Let's do it. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Any last thoughts on this episode?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Cool. So let's go on then to the next episode, which was Field of Fire. Now, this is the one, if you don't remember it from the title, you'll remember it from the description, where Ezri is basically said to investigate the serial killer. We have Federation, particularly Starfleet, employees, cadets, ensigns, officers, essentially being gunned down at what appears to be point-blank range in the middle of the night with a projectile weapon, which they make a big deal of being like, we don't have guns. How do guns work? And Odo's like, I read a lot of 20th century crime novels. Here's how guns work. And it's kind of adorable and fun. But what Ezri does to help with this investigation is she calls on her Joran Dax, who was the serial killer, and to try to assist with the investigation. What do you think about this one?
Yeah. This was a weirdly dark episode.
Yeah.
Like, weirdly dark. And we all, like, one of the things we all love about DS9 is that it does explore darker themes and things like that, which is awesome. But I don't know, this took a couple steps further than I was expecting it to. It was interesting. Sense? Well, just the fact that Ezri, like, he encourages her to feel, things from his experience, because he's saying that's how we're going to solve the crime, but he's like manipulating her in a really uncomfortable way, I thought. And she tiptoes up to the line, I guess, of succumbing to the allure that he's awakening in her, of the excitement he feels at killing randomly and all this. So it's weird, but I mean, I liked seeing more Trill rituals. I don't think we saw Jadzia with this exact process, to sort of pull the actual person out. And obviously, like, they showed that he's not actually present, because everyone looks at her like she's talking to the air. But to sort of do that separation, that was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree, and I think a lot of people in the chat do too. The Kyra said they find this episode really interesting. That we have this Vulcan too, with coping with his own issues. DS9er fan described it as Criminal Minds Deep Space Nine. It's pretty much fair. And Astro says, when Vulcans have PTSD, you want to get out of the way. That's valid. But I did like how they investigate it. And yeah, I think it's an interesting episode. Like you said, it's very dark. But as a big fan of British murder mystery genre, like, I like all right, let's roll our sleeves up and figure out how this is happening.
Yeah.
And again, I think the nice thing is, I mean, for myriad reasons that were going on in the last season of Deep Space Nine from a production level, it's still really nice that they gave Ezri room to breathe. Oh God, hang on, I just glitched. Come back. No. All right. I think, are we back? Can people see me? I don't know if people can see me or not. All right, we back? My whole thing is... Okay, all right, then we're just going to roll with it. We're going to roll with it. Because my stream interface is all blanked out. But if you can see me, we're good. All right, excellent. Thank you, Todd Howard. I appreciate that. All right, we're okay. Yeah, I think it's really interesting that we get like you said, the Trill, we get the Trill processes, and then the mystery itself is pretty good. The fact that you get to see this Vulcan, like, where they get to realize that like he's killing the people with the happy pictures, you know, in their rooms, and she's able to piece that together. And then just the mechanics of how the gun works. I think Astro pointed it out when we started discussing the episode about the watermelon moment, which is pretty cool. And yeah, cool. I like, it's dark, but it's not unwatchably dark, I guess is the
right
point.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah, in terms of going back through and rewatching, you know, you hit those episodes where you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. This isn't so much one of them. Oh, DS9er fan brought up a really good point. They said, if I could change one thing about that episode, I would have had Ezri confide in Odo. I like that.
Yeah, I think I would too. Because she really does sort of take it on herself to do this. And I feel like that would have been an interesting addition to the storyline, is if she and Odo worked a little more closely together.
Yeah, if there was a little bit more trust there. No, I really like that point. I think that's good. But it's nice to see that, like, you know, and I kind of said this right before my stream blipped a little bit, but what was so nice was getting to see Ezri now as a fully formed character, whereas they could have just brought her in and sidelined her and been like, yes, okay, we've kind of solved the Dax thing, like, let's just but they're really putting effort into giving her solid episodes to get us more attached to her, and I really appreciate that. I think that's good because she is a good character. And sorry, I'm catching up on the chat. No, Christoph, we haven't. You'll find out, Samantha. It's fine. Okay. So
I don't know what you mean.
It's okay. Any thoughts left on that one? How are you feeling about Ezri? I think this is kind of one of our last major Ezri episodes.
Okay. Yeah. No, I really like her. I never disliked her, so to speak. It was more just the shock of not having Jadzia around. And, you know, I think, you know, she fits in really well with the main cast. She's slotted in to that group, I think, really nicely, partly because of these episodes that, you know, allow her, like you said, to breathe more. But I really like her.
Good. Awesome. I do, and this is where I think Deep Space Nine succeeds the best of all the Trek series, is having those like slower moments at Quarks, you know, where they're all just kind of hanging out, goofing around, recapping what's going on, getting their denouement. Like, it works really well, you know?
Yeah. I think it was either in this episode or another Ezri focused episode where we get another good moment between her and Kira. Just sort of establishing their building, quote unquote, a new friendship, you know, good, because Jadzia and Kira had a really special friendship as well. So they're really helping show Kira and Ezri form a friendship too.
Agreed, definitely. That's where I think it's a really credit to the writing and also to the cast to buckle down and get that chemistry with this new character, and because it could have very easily not worked. And Christoph said that Ezri is their favorite Deep Space Nine character. Todd mentioned it's a shame that we had such a short time to get to know the new old man, and Todd Howard just subscribed, so yay, Garrick, jazz hands. Thank you. So yeah, it's a really interesting kind of, I like the story. It doesn't feel, I mean, I hate to use that phrase because it's still Star Trek, so it can feel however it wants, and it's still Star Trek, but it's a different take on the storytelling that is new, and I enjoy that. But yeah. Okay, any final thoughts on that one?
Not really.
Okay. The next episode is Chimera. So this is actually, hang on. I just thought of something. Before we go on to this one, you haven't watched the original series.
True. And
how do you feel about Vulcan culture?
Interesting question. I feel like I that's probably the thing I know the least about. My main basis for knowing about it is probably from Tuvok from Voyager, because there were quite a few Vulcan culture related episodes. I feel like that were Tuvok focused, and so from that I got some, but I'm a little not sure about it.
Fair enough. Yeah.
There were a lot of moments where I was really unsure why Tuvok was in the position he was in. Because certain decisions and points of view didn't necessarily help matters.
Yes. No. That's me. And just.
I mean, apparently our computers are also drinking, so.
I know. I don't know what it is. People are blaming Ducat. People are blaming Dr. Derp, who came in late right as it all crashed and has apparently strayed from the path of the prophets. And that's okay. That's okay. All good. Happy to have you here, Dr. Derp. No problem at all. The prophets will forgive you, my child.
You had to throw my child in there. Now no one's sure if you mean it or not.
Right. Okay. We're back. The timing worked out well. I was asking you about the Vulcan aspect because I find it interesting doing this rewatch with you, realizing like how much Star Trek from like TNG on through the 90s just kind of assumed a knowledge of Vulcan culture based on all of the stuff they did with Spock in the original series. And I actually I find that really interesting. So someone who's watching it for the first time and hasn't seen the original series is actually missing a lot of Vulcan culture.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting. Sky says, stares in my child. I'm so sorry. Okay. I am glad everyone hung out here. But yes, we'll continue now beyond the blip that we had. Okay, so the next episode, and it looks like Samantha briefly froze. I don't know if you're still there, Samantha.
Yeah, I am here. Your video on Zoom froze.
All right, whatever energy. This is where it's like my scientist side starts to take a back seat, and I'm like, whatever energy is out there that's angry at us, we've angered someone. I'm so sorry.
What did we do? You're moving now, so.
Okay, good. I got a Loki tattoo this week, and I did not think that he would introduce this level of chaos. But apparently, I mean, maybe it's someone else who's upset about my Loki tattoo. But anyway, okay, so let's go on to Chimera. This is the episode where Odo meets another changeling, Loss, who also has like no idea about the Founders, like was basically completely isolated from all of that. And basically like tries to lure Odo away to a life of adventure with the two of them. And it's another episode that I find myself screaming at Odo through the entire freaking thing. I have a funny story about this episode, but I'd like to hear your thoughts about it first.
Same energy.
Okay.
Yelling at Odo, but also like, why does Odo always have to encounter changelings that will show him things he's no idea that he's capable of? Or
oh, I lost your sound briefly, Samantha. Sorry. Yeah, lost your sound. Good Lord.
I can hear you just fine.
You're good. Okay. You're good. It was a blip in the Matrix. Whoever's cursing us, just please stop. Please stop. I don't know what I did wrong.
We just want to get through these 5 episodes.
We're so close. We're so close. I know. This is crazy. Okay. But yes, so carry on. You were talking about Odo and his changelingness.
Right. I mean, just basically, like, why can't Odo just Odo? Mm-hmm. Why can't he just do his thing without changelings coming in from left and right saying, we'll show you things you never knew you could do? Yeah. Like, without constantly being tempted by the dark side, I guess. I don't know, that it just kind of stood out as like, oh, here's another Odo storyline where he has to learn something about the changelings. Like, I don't know. So that, I guess, was sort of the overriding feel that I had. So much so that I didn't really get into the story that deeply, I guess. I love how the episode ended. I think, you know, I liked where Odo got to.
Okay.
I
think it was a good. Sorry, just to not interrupt, but like to remind people at the end, like he basically, a big thing that Lost kind of confronts him about is saying, "Look, I think that you've given up your changelingness by being with Kira. Just blame the girlfriend, and because you don't experiment with your forms, you don't play with some of those, like." You know, you're giving this part up. And then so at the end, like he's like communication, who'd have thought, and like has a conversation with Kira, and they basically, you know, he's like, no, I'm going to continue to be myself. And she's like, yes, I love that. Just be yourself. And they have a beautiful moment where he kind of, you know, dissolves into mist around her, and she's still able to experience him in his presence. And I really like that.
Yeah, that last scene was beautiful. And having to kind of get through this episode, which I guess for me, it just kind of felt like a slog of sort of the same stuff we've gone through with Odo. But getting through that to get to that moment with Kira was just all worth it, really.
Good. I'm so glad. So I don't know if you read my notes for this episode, but it cracked me up because so the actor who plays Loss is Martok.
What?
Yeah, it's J.G. Hertzler. However, we've been joking through this entire Deep Space Nine watch that Samantha is like so hypersensitive now to like changelings and who to trust and who not to trust, and like at what point who's gonna betray whom. And J.G. Hertzler was also very sensitive to this. Like when they hired him because it was like they knew he could pull off the drama, they could put him behind the prosthetics. They could like, you know, he could act through the heavy prosthetics, which is like, you know, that's hard to do. And you don't want to hire an actor for one episode and then start filming and they're basically like, I can't handle all of this. And so they hired J.G. Hertzler, but he was so conscious of not messing with the fans that he actually asked himself to be credited as Garmin Hertzler, because they didn't, which is his middle name, because he didn't want people to see J.G. Hertzler in the credits and start thinking that like this is a changeling that has like infiltrated Martok, and like that people would like think that there's a connection, because it's like, no, I'm just legitimately playing another character. And I just love that.
That's amazing. Oh my God, I did not put that together when I saw it in your notes, to be honest. And I'm shocked. Like this was the one time when I was like, yep, that's a changeling.
Yeah,
like,
right. Well, and but they even said like he was very conscious of not, like he changed his voice. Like he really tried to de-Martok himself and embody a new character. And I think he did it really well.
I mean, I would never have known. And Martok is such a strong character.
Yeah.
To be fair though, he was also the one person I didn't recognize in the 1950s episode.
Far Beyond the Stars.
Yeah. So
okay, valid. valid. We still love him.
He's got that going. Oh yeah, completely.
We love him. So yeah, I think it's interesting. It's very frustrating with Odo, but I think as we're coming into the end of the series, like for me, it just kind of makes sense knowing where it's going for him to have, like in that usual sort of hero's journey, like the final temptation, you know.
Sure. That and
reject all of his character growth.
I could totally see that. Thinking this was just sort of another hint at Odo's growth as a character.
Yeah.
Odo. I did think the linking between him and Lost was interesting.
I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah.
It seemed a little overly, or I don't know, a little homoerotic.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was intentional or not, but they kind of spent some time on it, so I just wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't know how anyone else feels about that, but
well, yeah,
and I don't know how I feel about it either way, to be honest.
Fair enough, because I think they set up in the one with evil Glenn Close, Changeling, that it is effectively an act of intimacy. I think it's like, I don't even want to say it's like a sexual act. I think it's just a physical act of intimacy.
Like a hug.
Right. A real long
hug.
Real
real deep hug.
A real long deep hug. Yeah. But to the extent that it lasts days and then your partner's very upset because you have been spending all your time hugging another person.
It's like
but I think they did set that up in that episode, that set of episodes when he gets lured astray by her. That when he links with Loss in this one, it is an act of intimacy. I mean, it's, and Kira is, I think, rightfully upset. I mean, she does call him out on it. She's like, "Are you kidding me? Like, you linked with him? Yo." Like, she views it as a very intimate act, that she sees them as a couple that's like kind of a betrayal, whereas Odo's like, yeah, but we just shared thoughts, and it's like, heard that line before, Odo. Like,
right. So, yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'd kind of forgotten about that, and
it was noticeable,
Oh yeah, for sure. It really was, and it did feel like Odo had cheated on Kira a little bit, with Loss.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit.
That long hug. It was a little bit. I love it. Okay, we're not going to tempt our fate, so we're just going to keep pushing on here. So the next episode is Badda-Bing, Badda-Bang. I'm just gonna let Samantha talk about this episode because we established in the previous thing when we introduced Samantha to Vic Fontaine, Samantha's like, this is my jam. This is everything I want.
I'm gonna go with Nog, and I'm just gonna live at Vic's. Everybody.
I love it, and it's a heist. It's Ocean's 11, Ocean's Deep Space Nine, man.
That's so good. I mean,
yeah.
When this episode finished, I was like, how is it possible that another Vic episode came around that replaced the last one that was going to be my favorite?
Right? Yeah.
This was just so good. Just so much fun escapism into that world. I thought and everybody banding together to help Vic, who's not a real person, but he is real to them, and he helps everyone just have their group. And so Cisco was super interesting.
Yes, let's
episode.
Talk about that.
Yeah. Because I could talk forever about how much I love Vix, but Cisco. So two related things. When in the first part of the episode, when he's talking to Cassidy about this and doesn't want to keep talking about it, he's like, why are we talking about this? This is ridiculous. Why are you doing this? He also was kind of creepily harsh. I don't know,
out of characterly harsh.
Out of character, more Cisco-y than normal. Cisco, he's got some interesting inflections and ways that he talks, it's just his mannerisms, but this was that times 10, and it was just a little strange. So I don't know if there's anything there, but
well, I mean, they come back to it, which was your second point.
Right, exactly. So they come back to it, and I guess it was just him being frustrated about Cassidy's willingness to go along with this. And he does make an interesting point, I think, about the fact that you guys are reveling in a historical program that's not based on any kind of fact or historical reality. You at the outset, I was like, okay, those are interesting points, and it makes sense where you're coming from. But then it kind of circles back around to just telling her she can't enjoy it, or asking her to not enjoy it, or something. I don't know. It just, at first I was like, oh, that's, you make a reasonable point. And then it just became not reasonable.
Like, well, I think so. And let's establish up front, we are two white women talking about this.
Yes.
and just to make that clear, but my interpretation of it, and I don't think it goes deeper than what he kind of said when he cleared it up with Cassidy and just said, really what it came down to, and DS9 fans said that they love how it was addressed as well, is that he basically doesn't like Vix and he hasn't spent much time there because he feels like it glorifies a past where he knows he would not have been welcome, right? That he knows that this sort of cool, suave, like 1960s Vegas scene, he would never have been able to walk in that door and go listen to Vic sing. Mm-hmm. And so he gets upset that everyone is enjoying it, and with good reason. It's like, because I would not have been welcome. Like, why would I celebrate this world? And I think we've talked about that a lot with other shows like Mad Men and these things that sort of have a weird spin, this sort of glorifying a past and glossing over stuff, the realities of that for marginalized communities. And I think with Cassidy, again, white woman talking about this, but I think with Cassidy, fairly or unfairly, at the very least, he genuinely is upset that she doesn't see it the same way, because he's kind of like saying, like, as a black man, I would not have been welcome, and as a black woman, like, you would definitely not have been welcome there. And yet you love Vix and you continue to go and you want to help him in all of these things. And so it's just, I think it's great that they put that dialogue that I think holds up, like, over, in the last 20 years. I'm glad that they put that in an otherwise, like, very just kind of ridiculous episode, and really had a good, like, oh wait, our black captain should have, like, genuinely a problem with Vix and has good reason to have a problem with Vix, and so let's address that.
Yeah, that's interesting. You put it a lot more eloquently than I did. I've
also seen it like 12 times, so it's okay.
Right. I'm like, the thing when the guy said the thing about the other thing. I agree completely with that perspective. And one thing I would say about it is, when that explanation came up from Cisco, like, it kind of brought this episode, which has so much levity and light and wonderfulness, but it brought it kind of clunking down to earth for a second and made me go, oh, okay, I see that, and check your white privilege on how you're viewing this event and these people and this holodeck program. So I did appreciate that, because it made me go, just sit back for a second, and recognize that for Cisco. But the scene where they were walking in slow motion in the 60s clothes on the promenade, like, I can't not, I was smiling ear to ear. I mean, I couldn't.
It's so good. But I think you said that perfectly, that it's like that discussion is because there are viewers, particularly like you. I just got that PBS thing in my brain. Viewers like you. There are viewers, who are very drawn to that, I'm trying to think of the Rat Pack style era, sort of Vegas era. That it really is like a check your privilege moment of, it's like, you can enjoy this because you can, you have that privilege, but, like, not everyone can. So it's just check the privilege, but you can still enjoy it. And that's where I think Cassidy kind of comes in. DS9 fan makes a good point as well, that Cassidy makes a good point, that it's not meant to be accurate, but to show how it could and should have been. And that, on top of that, Ben Sisko is maybe more sensitive, and I'm putting my own spin on it. Sorry, I'm not trying to take over what you're saying. DS9 fan said, I think Ben is more sensitive due to his experience being Benny and his experience in the 1950s. Well,
that's exactly what I thought. Is he has that in his memory, and is more sensitive to it because of that.
But So yes, I'm glad we talked about that up front. I think it's a really important part of that episode, and I think it's one of the things that makes Star Trek great. Todd mentioned taking on the racial historical reality is something Star Trek has the power to do so well, and just say it and just make it very clear. But yes, and Cairo put in one of my favorite quotes, again, from "It is a great scene when they all walk down the promenade in slow motion, full costume, like, yes, we are gonna do this mission." And DS9er fan earlier wrote, like, "It's been a hell year, let's rob a casino." Like, it's like such that vibe of like, F this nonsense, like, we are gonna go in and we're gonna get up to shenanigans and it's gonna be great. And then when they all walk by and Quark kind of watches them all and he just says, "I tell you, Morn, something's going on at Vix." It's so good. So good.
It's brilliant. I love, like, Cisco has another kind of good point where he's like, "You're telling me my entire senior staff is in the holodeck right now trying to save a fictional character from a fictional..."
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Exactly what's happening. So good.
Yeah.
Hi, Jedi. Partner has entered the chat. Okay, so the last episode that we're going to talk about, was there any other last things? Nog stressed me out. It's a good Ocean's 11 where he's trying to break the safe, doesn't get it.
I know.
Break it,
they all have to
ah!
do the little improvisations. I thought the one thing was going to be Ezri knocking the glass over.
Yeah.
But nope, Nog there the entire time.
I know. Every time he's like, ah! It's so good.
It's so good.
Love it.
No, I could talk about it for ages. Let's move on.
I'm glad you have that episode, though. It makes me so happy. And I think everyone in the chat agrees with this, that getting to see you experience for the first time and just feel those feelings and find those episodes that are just like, yes, this is mine. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You in season 7 now, you're given a 1960s lounge singer and a baseball episode. It's like,
I mean, yeah.
Silver platter to Samantha.
Precisely.
All right. Our last episode before the end game is Enter Arma Enim Silent Ledges. This is where Bashir is recruited by Section 31. Maybe we can blame all the tech difficulties on Section 31.
I'd be happy with that.
the Federation's shadowy Black Ops division to spy on the Romulans during a conference because they're trying to manipulate Romulan politics to the benefit of the Federation. The sort of main plot, Bashir goes to a conference and Section 31 tries to spy on the Romulans. And this has some of my favorite Garrick scenes of all time. He walks off. I'm just going to get weird for a second. But it's like, he walks off the turbolift and he's just like, "The Romulans," with so much camp and just chewing the dialogue that he's so good. He's so good. And he has a whole thing about like, "So you're going to go to a conference with the Romulans and you're not going to spy on them? Like, let's talk about this for a second." And anyway, it's fabulous. But
yeah.
Curious what your thoughts are, because again, for the chat, you've seen Discovery, which had Section 31 in it, but this is sort of a lot more origin story of Section 31.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't remember Section 31 very, very much from Discovery, but I haven't seen Discovery in a while.
That's okay.
Oh wait, no, yes I do. Yes.
Yeah, it was the Black Ops unit that Giorgio joins. Yeah.
Now found it. I found it in my brain.
You got it.
But yeah, so I remember last time when we had Section 31, I was wondering if what they put Bashir through was like a recruitment exercise or just something else. But clearly, right. Clearly it was a recruitment exercise, because they show up in people's bedrooms and say, "You now have an assignment." So that's cool.
DS9er fan said, "On the bright side, Julian finally made it to a conference."
Yes, exactly.
I think
he
it's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, it was a good Bashir episode. It was interesting to see him go through the steps of um figuring out what was going on, or trying to figure out what was going on. I thought it was interesting that his last vestige of trust was I forget her name, but the Romulan
Kretak
general. Yeah. Because I'm still not sure if she's trustworthy or not. I think she is.
That's just the right attitude to have when it comes with Romulans. Be like, I kind of think you're never going to be 100% sure. You're going to be at best 60% sure about a Romulan.
Yeah. and then we have another shady admiral.
Yeah.
Normally I can see the shadiness a mile away. This time I really kind of didn't, and I'm still not sure. It wasn't like shady, but the admiral was in Section 31, right? Or knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they were aware of they were aware of the covert mission to spy on the Romulans. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It was a really good episode. I didn't have a lot of like dramatic takeaways, I guess.
That's fair. No, that's fair. I think for me, what's fun is that first of all, Garrick. Second of all, Romulans. Third of all, I really like the fact, and I think I appreciate this more, not even on the second watch, but like the third or fourth watch, of just seeing how Bashir deals with all of this. And I feel like a lot of the energy from Garrick and why he's so good in this episode is because he's kind of like, dude, have our lunches like not sunk in at all? Like Bashir, and like they've done spy holodeck programs together, and then suddenly Bashir is actually given a spy mission, and he's just like, I don't want to do it. It's hard and scary.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Like, you love this crap, and like suddenly once, which I think is a very, natural reaction, but Bashir becomes like super paranoid about everyone, doesn't trust anyone. He's on this ship, my little Intrepid class ship, where I'm just like, hold up, it's an Intrepid class. We love it. We love our little Voyager.
Oh.
But yeah, they he's just, and Umbra makes a good point. I'm kind of losing a little bit from the chat, but the Bashir is still just very innocent. He's charmingly naive. And it gets tarnished a little bit with Section 31, but they hold true to that as a character, and I think that's probably fair.
Yeah.
But I did laugh. Sometimes it's like I get a little mean because Star Trek just has moments that are a little bit ridiculous, and one of my favorite moments as an example of this is when Bashir goes in to talk to the Admiral, and he's like, "We need to talk." And he's like, "Off the record?" "Off the record." And they just take their badges off and set them down. And I was like, is that what off the record means? And it was just the order of things. I was like, that was weird. That was kind of goofy. But
that is a little goofy. It's like the only way it records is if it knows it's upright on a Starfleet uniform. Like,
yeah. Oh, Bahana. Yeah, that's true. They said, I liked when the Romulan made fun of human small talk.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think the episode itself is just very that Cold War feel. It's like, we're going to spy on you because we know you're going to spy on us. And so it's like this whole just, like we experience on Earth, this global intelligence community of like, well, we have to spy because we know they're going to spy. So
exactly.
Yeah. It's a good episode.
It is a good episode. I was wondering if it was self-contained, or if we're going to kind of get more if this was setting up a longer Romulan subplot for the rest of the series. I wasn't sure.
Got it. I mean, I'm not going to tell you, but that's fine.
Yeah, I know. I'm just going to say that and let it
throw it
be
out
in the universe.
Throw it out to the universe. That's fine. Astro points out, Sloan is Section 31 because he wears black. Kind of a giveaway, but yeah. And then I mean, I think that's great. I think that's right. The whole like off the record thing is much more, that's valid, is like a symbolism thing of, it's like, I'm gonna take off my uniform, like this is not, I am now talking to you. And so I think maybe off the record was probably the wrong way to phrase it, because it just seemed like they were wiretapped in a weird way. But like, for it to be like, I'm gonna talk to you as a human, not as a Starfleet officer, and remove their badge, that makes a lot more sense.
Interesting. Yeah, that does make more sense.
All right, so with that, we have the finale. Oh my gosh. Technically 9 episodes, although the last one is a 2-parter. Like, it's really is 10 episodes. I'm so excited. We're gonna discuss it all in one epic 2-hour without technical difficulties stream, and and it's gonna be glorious. But we need to give enough time to watch all of these. There's holidays, things are starting to open up a little bit. Get vaccinated, come hang out with people. Our finale discussion will be on Sunday, July 11th. So we've got basically 3 weeks. We're gonna do a little more than 3 weeks. We'll do our finale discussion of the entire arc. I love it. I love that you get to like episode 17 and it's like part 1 and you're like, wait, what? There's part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. Like, this is gonna be a thing, and it's gonna be fabulous.
I'm so excited.
Oh, you're welcome, Todd. I mean, I welcome you to come and just at least rewatch the finale, if not the entire thing. But we are going to have a fabulous discussion. It's going to be so fun. Yes, Christoph. So we've got this Sunday off, then we'll have next Sunday off, then the next Sunday off. So technically 3 Sundays, but because we're doing this on a Friday, it's like, anyway. It's fine. And DS Snyder fan says, let's do the documentary after that. We also have we are going to have an entire brunch discussion about Kai Wynn. Which I'm like, it's not going to be for the benefit of everyone here, but I'm really hoping Samantha and I get to do a watch party together for these final episodes, because they're so good and such a train wreck, and like, I just need to see your reaction while you watch these episodes. But we're gonna have a blast discussing all of these.
Oh my god.
So yeah, thank you again, Samantha, for sharing your journey of discovering Deep Space Nine with us.
So happy.
Thank you to everyone coming in the chat and tolerating our technical difficulties. We managed to get through the episodes, so we're good.
Somehow.
It was spectacular. We did a full blue screen restart, and you all hung in there, and it was great. July 11th is when we'll be back. Until then, I am going to send so we can say farewell. But I'm going to send everyone to the Ripley Improv page, where they are doing a improvised show called Slay, which is essentially like a supernatural investigative show that's a long-form improv. And the guests this week are Mary Chieffo and Felicia Day. So you're going to want to watch it. It's starting in 2 minutes. I'm going to throw you over to that channel. If you don't get sent there, it's the Ripley Improv, Ripley as in aliens. And thank you all for hanging out with us, and live long and prosper. May the prophets be with you, my child. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.